Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Reptile Barn. I saw this post on Instagram talking about customer etiquette. And this is something that's always bothered me about breeders, actually. Breeders it's like the cool thing to do to whine about what they call tire kickers. You send someone an inquiry about a reptile that you really like. They answer your initial question, but you have more questions. You'd like to see more pictures. You want to know who the parents were. You want some time to think about it after they've answered your questions and you have all this new information to process. You want to share this information you just gathered with your spouse. Whatever the case may be, this breeder now hates you. They think you're a flake. And they call you a tire kicker and they whine to their breeder friends about you. And all I can think is that these breeders want you to be a dumb consumer. They want you to do like impulse buys. They only value you if you are immediately chucking $100 bills at them. Like if you aren't instantly like, yep, I want it, I'm sending you money at this very moment, they don't want to talk to you. That seems like a problem with the breeder, not a problem with the purchaser. I greatly prefer customers who ask me a bunch of questions. For many reasons. One, this means I have an opportunity to share a bunch of information with them that they may or may not already know. Husbandry information, for example, that is extremely important. I'm sending them one of my live babies, right? I want them to take good care of it. It also shows that they care. So I want to work with customers who ask me lots of questions. I always have, always will. But apparently a lot of breeders don't. And so as far as I'm concerned, if you want to gather information, asking me questions, and then talk to your spouse afterwards, and then you'll get back to me the next day or whatever the case may be, awesome. Good, even. I will say, though, as a breeder, it is kind of obnoxious. It's not like you're the worst person ever, but it's annoying and I think a little bit rude if you tell me this. You're like, okay, I really like it, I'm probably gonna get it, but I need to talk to my spouse first and I'll get back to you in the morning. Well, the next morning comes, nothing. A couple days go by, nothing, and I'm like, oh, I guess they didn't want it, and they were just using, I gotta ask my spouse as an excuse to not tell me that you changed your mind and you're gonna look elsewhere. Just tell me. Like, it's rude not to, I feel. I will never be offended if you're like, oh, it's a little too expensive for me, or I decided to go with a different morph, or I'm gonna get something that's closer to me that I can pick up in person, whatever. You don't even have to tell me your reason. Just say, no, thank you, I'm not gonna purchase this animal. That's it. The end. Talk to me, communicate to me, let me know that this is no longer an open transaction. It's finished, it's not gonna happen. Just tell me that, okay? But that's a minor thing. The point of this is this video is to say, ask your questions, take your time, think it through, sleep on it. All these things that smart consumers do in every other industry that they might be purchasing from. For some reason, breeders of reptiles don't want you to do that. And then they get all offended like you're doing something wrong. I'm like, okay, I guarantee you that these same breeders who are so angry about these tire kickers, they walk into a store, any store, could be looking at fruit, could be looking at clothes, could be looking at toys, could be looking at cars, and they peruse, they look, they're comparing it to stuff online, they've got their phone out, they're calling up their spouse, did you want bananas or did you want apples or whatever, and then they decide, oh no, these don't look as good, or this isn't really what I wanted, or I'll come back tomorrow, or I need to take it for a test drive, or whatever the case may be, and they don't purchase it, okay? then by their definition, they're a tire kicker. Should the owner of the store come out and be like, oh, these stupid customers, they looked at my apples and then they didn't buy them? That's ridiculous. So I am just saying, I want it on the record that as a breeder, to all customers who ever consider even buying an animal from me, ask me your questions. I will never get annoyed. If I am so busy that I cannot, have an hour-long texting conversation, I won't answer you immediately. Like, I'm an adult. I can communicate. I can answer questions, and it doesn't make me mad. It actually makes me happy. So please, ask your spouse first. It'd be a lot worse for you if you send me $700 for something and then your spouse finds out and is mad, right? Like, I find it so ridiculous that all these things that I think of as good are apparently thought of as bad by some breeders. But what that tells me is they do not value you for your kind of place in the reptile hobby, your contributions to the reptile. All they value you for is the money that you are sending to them. That's what they want. And they want you to be an impulse buyer because that means you're going to send them all the money up front immediately, and they don't have to wait. They don't have to answer any more questions. They just want your money, and then they want you out of there. Well, guess what? I have a whole bunch of breeders that I have inquired about an animal from, and their communication to me seemed pretty obvious that that's all they wanted. They just wanted my money. They didn't care if I even took good care of the snake, right? Or the lizard or whatever. I didn't buy from them. And what's even crazier, I end up going to somebody and paying sometimes more money for the same animal. Not literally the same animal, but same species, gender, age, morph if it's a morph species, whatever, from a breeder who will talk to me and answer my questions, send me the extra pictures, send me the parentage, and they treat me well. And to me, that is absolutely worth a little extra money for two reasons. One, because it just feels good to work with good people, right? And I will absolutely spend a little bit of extra to help the business of a good person as opposed to an impatient jerk. But two, and this is a more selfish reason to work with these breeders, even if it's a little more expensive up front, guess what? The breeders who just want your money, they want to send the snake out the door and never talk to you again, how likely are they to help you in the future if you have a question? Not likely. The breeder who answered every single question with full sentences, full paragraphs, tons of information, tons of pictures, they were friendly the entire time. Guess what's going to happen down the road if, say, you bred that snake and you produce a bunch of babies and you're like, crap, I'm having trouble identifying this morph. This has happened to me multiple times. The guy I bought my sapphires from, guys I bought Wookiees from, and I'm like, it's a more complex combo, and I'm like, is this for sure a sapphire? I go back and I'm like, I bought from X breeder. I wish I could remember off the top of my head because this guy was fantastic, by the way. Still is. I've asked him multiple questions over the years, and I'm like sending him pictures, and I'm like, are these sapphires? He's like, oh, absolutely. And I'm like, how do you know? And he's like, look at the tail, look at the pattern here, look at this color compared to this color, and he's like walking me through the markers. I'm not paying him money for this. He's basically acting as a consultant, but I'm not paying him for it. He's just a good dude. So I'm really happy that I bought my sapphires from him instead of somebody else, right? Because I've gained a ton of value, both in I just feel good because I like working with good people, but also because he has given me a large amount of help in my business, right? For free, just because he likes to share information about this gene that he's passionate about, right? I can't tell you how much information I have gained from Vic Herrick about Eastern Indigos, Brandon Van Asten about blue tree monitors and all tree monitors. I could go on, and some people are like, oh, but once they're a really big breeder, they're just too busy. Really? Brandon Van Asten is like produced more tree monitors than potentially like every single other person put together who produces tree monitors. But he still has time for me when I ask him questions. And I've only ever bought one animal from him. This was like 5-6 years ago, right? And he still helps me out. He's like, you know what? This is a conversation better for the telephone. We'll go faster. And he'll talk to me for 2 hours on the phone. Now, I am not telling all these breeders out there you have to be like that. I'm just saying, if I have an opportunity to buy a captive bred tree monitor, where do you think I'm going first? Like, really? You know, I have gotten personalized help from Justin Kabilka of Canova. Is there like bigger, more successful breeders than that guy? I don't think so, right? Is he busy? Absolutely. But he has helped me out. And that was actually before I had purchased any animals. Since then, I have purchased animals from him, but this was just, I saw a video of his with the genetics that I was working with that I had questions about. And he happened to mention in this particular video that he's helped tons of people with morph identification. And he like told people, go to my website, my phone number's on there. I was like, oh my gosh. So I like texted, I was like, is this Justin Kabelka? And he's like, yep. And he like walked me through again, like what markers that I sent him pictures for, this gene I was confused about. I was just blown away. I was like, this guy owes me nothing. I haven't paid him a cent. I just asked him a question and he has taken time out of his busy day to help me out. And guess what? When another combo came up that I wanted, there were multiple snakes with the same genetics, ball pythons, right? His was the most expensive one, only by a little bit. It's not like his was twice as expensive, but it was the most expensive one of the options available. Guess which one I bought? Of course, his, right? Because he built rapport so early on with me by answering questions. I didn't take 3 hours from his day. I took like 4 minutes, right? And little did he know it, but he just secured himself. Not that he needs it necessarily, right, anymore. He can sell just on reputation, but how do you build your reputation? Anyways, by helping me out, he secured himself a big sale down the road. There will be more in the future. I guarantee it. That dude is a wizard, right, of ball pythons. So, long story short, guys, customer etiquette, I think it is absolute baloney that you shouldn't ask all these questions, that you shouldn't take your time, that you shouldn't ask your significant other first, whatever the case may be. Do all those things, please. And if the breeder is being a jerk about it to you, look elsewhere. Make him pay with your financial decisions. Don't give him your money. You're just, kind of reinforcing these bad behaviors in him, right? Now, we can also, give people a little grace. People have crappy days. People have crappy weeks. Horrible stuff happens. So I'm not saying then you should go around spreading how terrible this person was because they didn't answer all your questions or whatever. But, relationships matter in every industry, and this one is included. So just some food for thought. I hope you enjoyed my ramble, but that is all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, we are the Reptile Barn.